With races at Daytona and Road America in the books, we've already completed a quarter of the Season 3 schedule, and with that, early contenders have emerged. Dennis Rodder has had to work hard on his title defense. Strong races from Eric Fox and Clayton Barklow kept the German at bay for most of the scheduled time, but when the flag that matters flew at the end of both races, it was the 011 that crossed the line first. With a perfect 76 points, Rodder leads by 26 at the quarter pole. GTE Pro, as always, is a toss-up. After a remarkable recovery at Daytona, James Posland had to settle for second fiddle when Andreas Sakalas emerged victorious from a three-car scrap at Road America. Only 9 points separate the two, with Petit Le Mans winner Hayden Fowler lurking in the wings. Pick a name out of a hat and see who'll be on top next. Collecting podiums is a recipe for a championship. After a second at Daytona, Ines Bothma followed that up with a win in Race 2, posting 65 points and a 21-point advantage in GT3 AM. As the field continues to fill out and the competition tightens, he'll lead a class where 6 drivers are within a race win of leading the points. A fortnight in Georgia has produced some spectacular racing. It concludes today with 90 minutes around Road Atlanta. The Night Racing League Sports Car Championship, Race 3, is next. And it has been a busy 2 weeks here at Road Atlanta, and we're going to finish it off with our first 90-minute race of Season 3 in the Night Racing League Sports Car Championship. And it is Championship Implications Week here as third race of the season, and we start to find out who's really taking a run at a title, and we're going to start in the GTE Pro class. And first and foremost, congratulations to Hayden Fowler and Kevin Hensel, winners of Split 6 in the Petit Le Mans last weekend. The first special events win for the Night Racing Esports Blue Car. Hayden Fowler and Kevin Hensel, a perfect drive in the 10-hour event. And they have that Corvette C8R here to see if they can keep the ball rolling in the GTE Pro class today. They'll be up against James Posland, Andreas Sakalas, who are race winners, of course, this season. All of the top 5 out testing in force for this weekend's event. As we have a look at the points, Fowler 23 back of Posland. Sakalas right there, less than 10, 9 points back. It is very tight, and anything can happen on this circuit. It should be an exceptional race. Championship implications continue in LMP, and no Eric Fox this weekend. He has work obligations, which is a shame, but it's a huge opportunity for Clayton Barklow. 40 points back after that less than inspiring debut at Daytona. Clayton looking very, very strong here, and hoping to put a dent in Dennis Rodder's championship lead. Dennis had a good week in practice as well. But what that really means is we've got a serious point-scoring opportunity for everyone in the midfield, from Paul Seeley all the way down to Dean Ellico. Everybody here and everybody looking to grab a podium, not least of which Jennifer McDonald in the 99 car, looking exceptionally fast on Thursday in final practice. The biggest thing the LMPs are going to have to worry about here, this full pace lap. We have 2 race simulation starts on Thursdays after the practices. And with the full pace lap and the cooler track temperatures, the LMPs really struggling with the loss of tire temperature. So it'll be interesting to see what happens on the opening few laps here. It didn't look good in the race sims, but of course that has nothing to do with what might happen here today. But we will watch the LMP class. There are serious points on the line here. With some of the top runners not in, we are expecting Thomas Brummel back finally at Sebring in 2 weeks' time. Eric Fox should be back on the grid, and we'll have the front of the pack all together. But that mid-pack really sensing an opportunity to pull up here and make a stand. GT3 is always close. We have new drivers making their debut here today. Ines Bothma leading the points there in the 395. 21 very, very close between Wally and Struff. Marcel, of course, losing that place on the final corners at Road America to Lincoln Russell. That spectacular last lap that they had after a race-long battle, it must be said. So we'll see where the GT3 AMs go out today. It should be a very close class here today. We had a lot of cars doing practice times. 12 drivers were out practicing, and I'm not just saying doing a couple of installation laps. We had drivers up and down the field putting in tons of laps, so it should be a great race there as well. The cars are finishing up their warm-ups, and while we get our race setups on, let's have a look at the starting grid for Road Atlanta. On pole in LMP2, it's Clayton Barklow with a 109.326, exactly 2/10 ahead of Dennis Rotter, a 109.526, with the new Unleashed team color scheme. Row 2 is Jennifer McDonald, a 109.587 will line up beside Lucas Wallace. The first car in the 110s, a 110.046. Just 5 1,000 slower is Paul Seeley inside row 3, a 110.051. He'll line up beside the 22 of Jeff Jerome, a 110.191. And row 4 in LMP2 is Keith Rainey with a 110.196 and a 110.332 for Dean Ellico. In GTE Pro, on pole, Night Racing Esports, 777 of Jaden Manathan Guerin, a 115.523 alongside the 77 of Ivan Zirano, 115.564. Row 2 is James Posland and Andreas Sakalas, 115.618 and 893 respectively. Amantis Shalakis will line up beside Hayden Fowler, the Petit Le Mans winner, 115.974 for Amantis, 115.978 for Hayden. Jacques Bothe inside row 4 with a 116.028. He'll line up beside Kevin Hensel, a 116.071. Max Riebensteiner and Mark Sonnen round out the GTE Pro class, 116.175 and a 116.485 in an incredibly close class. GT3 AM has Jacob Wally on pole, a 118.733. He'll line up beside the 999 of Jan Spammers, 118.961. Jose Flores, a 119.099, with Rowan Kelly, a 119.186. Newcomer Steve McLean with a 119.584. He'll line up beside Lincoln Russell, a 119.843. Forrest Ellico and Steve Groniga, 119.915, and exactly 1 minute and 20 seconds for Groniga. Marcel Struff, a 120.045, will line up beside Chris Thompson, who did not set a lap time. He'll start at the back of the GT3 AM class. And a full pace lap again here at Road Atlanta. The LMP's on the backstretch. And that beautiful new livery there for Dennis Rotter as we get ready to come up the hill and start 90 minutes here at Road Atlanta. Down the hill they come, and Jennifer McDonald, oh, Jenny spun right off the start! A huge impact, it's taken Lucas Wallace as well. And we have carnage at GTE as well. What is going on at the start here? That is the pole sitter, Jaden Manathan Guerin. The GT3's coming through now. We'll get replays of the start as everybody is running. Barklow away in the lead, Rotter second, Paul Seeley up to third place. As we have lost both McDonald and Wallace from the GTE class. GTE Pro is now led by Max Riebensteiner, Sakalas, and Shalakis in third place. We've lost a lot of the front of the grid. Jacob Wally, Rowan Kelly challenging for second place, and will take that from Jose Flores. the GT3 AM class, the only class to get away clean here today. We talked about the cold tires. It has bitten a bunch of drivers here early. James Posland, you see in the timing screen, coming back through the field. Hayden Fowler out of position. Manathan Guerin, the pole sitter, all the way down behind the 9th place GT3 car. We'll find out what kind of damage there is, and we'll get replays of the starts once we get settled in here with the field. There is Posland just now coming back through the field. And there is damage on the front of that car. Looks to be a little bit on the back as well. He comes in by Steve Groninga. And down the hill where all the fun happened is Clayton Barklow. He'll come around to complete lap number 2, a very short lap here at Road Atlanta. And we'll get some representative lap times. A 2.3 second gap as he crosses the line with a 110.5. Rotter still in the 11, so right on pace. Let's see what Barklow can do with it here. And Paul Seeley has dropped to 6th place. Let's get a look at the starts here. First in LMP, and we talked about the cold tires. And I think McDonald clipped that curb. The car goes squirrely and collects her row mate. What a collision, and look at the damage on the 024. GTE was even worse. Here they are. They, of course, have the green flag. And that looked like net code between Zerano and Manathan Guerin. It collects Posland. Meanwhile, further back in the field, let's see if we can see what happened to Fowler. They're 3 wide. Fowler just comes down, and he puts the left side. I'm not sure he actually knew they were 3 wide there. So the stewards will have lots to look at here from the start. Meanwhile, Paul Seeley is out of position. And we're hearing there's issues with the 22 as well. That is Jeff Jerome, and he's got damage, heavy damage on the left side of that car. Seeley first, he was in that battle. Rainey got ahead of him and just pushes off. Cold tires, he does hit that tire barrier. What happens to Jeff Jerome? It's the same thing. It is, he goes off at turn 1 as well. And he's hit the concrete, not the tire barrier. So 5 minutes in, it is all happening. LMP's Clayton Barklow leads now by 5 seconds. As Dennis Rotter just getting by a back marker there. Clayton Barklow leads by 5 seconds over Dennis Rotter. Rainey and Ellico now 3rd and 4th. Seeley is in 5th, and Jeff Jerome has made it back to pit lane. Meanwhile, GTE, it is Max Riebensteiner leading Andreas Sakalas. And how can this affect the points today? Sakalas, one of our race winners last round at Road America, and now he's got a huge gap to James Posland, who has recovered back to his class in 8th place, sorry. But a 9-point gap in the standings, and Sakalas with the lead right outside his windscreen. Shalakas dropping back just a little bit, just a second. There he is. Botha 4th, Hensel 5th. Zerano has the first of the drivers who was involved in those incidents. The 77 in 6th place. Then it's Sonnen, Posland, and Fowler. The Petit Le Mans winner, and he has damage on the left side of that car. Manathan Guerin still trying to recover. Your pole sitter, and you can see heavy damage on the front of that car, and a real shame after a great qualifying as Jaden spun by netcode. There is no further action on that. Stewart's very quick. It was a netcode spin. He went down to take the apex. Zerno was behind him. That's a West Coast North American driver against a Eastern European driver, and it was netcode, so there's nothing we could do there. And unfortunately, Posland and Zerno caught up in it. And the GT3's the only class to get away clean. And there is Jacob Wally. Flores back into second, ahead of Rowan Kelly, who we saw make a pass earlier. We've got the LMP leader coming through there. We've seen that gap ebbing and flowing as they're coming through the first of the GT classes. Barklow threw clean down into the S's, but it's going to be busy times. There is the 222 of Rowan Kelly, the beautiful gold Lamborghini. We had a little bit of a poke fun moment in the drivers' meeting about people wanting to watch the gold Lamborghini too closely. He has put on some wrapping paper and some fragile stickers for this race, so very good on Rowan, trying to keep people off him, and hopefully he'll have a good run. But he is currently in third, with the leaders up in front. They match Shalakas in the 5:46. And this battle in GTE Pro starting to tighten up. As Manathan Guerin coming through the GT3 leader, as is Dennis Rotter there. Well, we are 7 laps in, 9 minutes, and there is one of the closest battles in LMP as Keith Rainey finds himself with his rowmate, his row 4 rowmate, the last 2 cars in qualifying running in 3rd and 4th early on here in LMP. And they may have been in row 4, but the pace is there. This class so close. Dean Ellico, a 110.3, 109.3. It was 1 second covered the entire LMP class. And Ellico looking like he's going to have a look, but Rainey will pull out there. That gap up front is absolutely growing exponentially. 7.6 seconds now, the lead for Clayton Barklow. GTE Pro is close everywhere. The top 3 under a blanket. Well, the top 4 really, there they all are on the same screen. Riebensteiner, Sakalis, Shalakas, and Hensel all together. Hensel, of course, the other half of that of the Petit Le Mans win. He's gotten through cleanly. And then a bit of a gap back to the 888 of Jacques Botha, who has Ivan Zirano. There you see them on screen, with the LMP leader coming now through the middle of the GTE pack. A little bit of damage on the back there of Zirano from that hit. I believe, if I remember, it was Posland that went in. And then Zirano, maybe been the other way. They both have damage on the back, so we can get another look at that. As the GTEs come across the top 6, all on the front straightaway together. And a great start for Max Riebensteiner. Kept his nose clean through the chaos. And the German finds himself up front. And I knew I was wrong there, Max. Sorry for that. The Austrian finds himself up front. Quick check of the grid flags there. Jen McDonald back on track. Not as much damage on that car. You can see a little bit still left on the rear end. The 024 not so fortunate as the required and optional repairs are going to outlast the remaining 78 minutes. So a very short day and not of his own doing for Lucas Wallace. A real shame for the 024. And we hear, as we go back, we saw Jeff Jerome in the pits. The other car that was off early on lap 2 was the 72 of Paul Seeley. That car down on speed. We're hearing from pit road. The left front, he didn't hit very hard, but he's hit hard enough that there is some aero damage. They are going, this is a 2-stop race in LMP, and we're told that they are going to go as far as they can to keep it a 2-stop race and go for an early stop and get that damage fixed. You can see the paint just scuffed up there on that corner. He hit the tire barrier. Unfortunately, Jerome, who's still in the pits, hit the concrete wall. So we'll see. We'll watch for an early stop from that 72 car. As his teammates now coming up through the GTE field, Posland and Sonnen together there. That is 6th and 7th. Rainey gets by into turn 6. Ellico will have to wait until they exit onto the rear straightaway, the back straight. Fowler keeping pace, not probably a lot of damage to that car, only on the side. And he's keeping pace with Posland, who has already proven he can make his way back through the fields. So if they can hook up together, it's only 11 seconds up to this battle for the lead. And we could see all of those top runners back together in GTE Pro. Only 14 minutes into this race. I'm not sure if you can call them teammates, but certainly good friends. Sakalas and Shalikas. They ran together most of last race. Remember, both of them had the lead at one point. And they're up front again, running nose to tail. You can see a little bit of damage on that right rear corner on Amantis' car from where Fowler came down into him, but doesn't seem to be struggling for pace. He was, in fact, the fastest car of the top 4 last time around. 13 and a half seconds. I'm almost wondering if Barclow has short-fueled. It's a 2-stop race. Has he short-filled this car and is just going to do 3 even stints? It's not usually the best idea. Putting fuel in takes time, and you have to put the same amount in no matter... you burn the same amount of fuel for the whole race, so you might as well take the free 75 liters at the start, but that gap is so large, so quick. I'm almost starting to wonder if there's something going on strategy-wise there in the 818. 14 and a half seconds. He is literally pulling a second a lap since the start of the race. You can see a 109.9 last time around. It was 112.3 in traffic for Dennis Rotter. Dennis is not one to be outpaced. Having watched him now in his 3rd season here in the KRL. We're watching the battle for first in GTE Pro. Max Riebensteiner leading Andreas Sakalas, Amantis Shalikas, and Kevin Hensel all together as that 3rd place battle in LMP comes through. We have a replay from GTE Pro. This is Ivan Zirino in the 77, and he's gone off on the exit of turn 3. That has dropped him down. Doesn't hit anything, or anyone, more importantly. But that has dropped him down the ladder to 9th. You can see him just a tick under 20 seconds from the lead. Wonder if that car is compromised from the contact at the start. and Seeley in the pits. So we heard from pit road this was going to happen. They can now fill that car up, get the damage fixed, and get him back out there. So could be a lonely day for the 72, but at least he's going to try and get that top speed back and be competitive. He's far enough in that he can run with only the 2 stops, and it'll be longer. It's a full stop and a splash for the LMPs. A big splash in this case. But at least he won't have to do an extra pit stop, as Jeff Jerome likely will, as he pitted very early after his crash. He is also back on circuit, so good news for the 22 car there. Sakalas having a little peak there. I'm not sure. It's early days here, and these boys know what they're doing up front. And getting settled in, really, we've got a nice clean 4-car breakaway now. Almost 6 seconds back to Jacques Botha in 5th. So running nose to tail for at least most of the first stint probably is not a bad idea. Getting a nice gap and then seeing where the pit stops bring you back out. This could be a one-stop race in GTE Pro, but it will take some fuel savings, so we'll see how everybody approaches that. And I imagine the same deal in GT3 AM, if anybody can confirm that with me. Both GT classes run on 75% fuel cell capacity, which brings in the strategy. As around they come, Sakalas really getting a great run down the hill out of the final corner, but he keeps it tucked in. We check back in here. That's Steve Groningen, Marcel Struff just behind him. That is 5th and 6th as Rainey's coming through. There's newcomer Steve McLean. Great to have another Canadian on the grid. He's running that 27 BMW M4. Oh, and Groninga's around. And he's hit that wall. He gets it spun around. Big damage on the left side as the leaders in GTE come through. That was a big hit. He's got an LMP behind him. No, but they're not close enough. There was no contact there. I think he just got a little too much welly on it, and around came the back end. But that's going to be a trip to pit road for the 59 car. That was heavy, heavy damage on that left front corner, and we know the left rear hit as well. Jennifer McDonald now coming back up through the front of the GTE Pro class. A little flash from Shilakis, not sure what that was about. But up the hill, she should get that done coming through turn 4. Sorry, that was turn 3, actually, as we head down into the S's. Groninga has made it to pit road in the 59 car, and we'll watch how long that was. Damage reports, we know Lucas Wallace is out. 9 minutes, 26 seconds to fix the 99 car, and 8 minutes, 11 seconds to fix the 22 car. So big time damage for the LMPs. And you can see Jerome 7 laps down, McDonald 8 laps down. And we'll take a look and see about Groninga. The only other car down pit road, Seeley was only stopped for 25.7 seconds. We know he filled that car up as well. So it was very, very minor aero damage, a new nose on the 72, and he's back in the running. McDonald is now clear through that battle in GTE Pro, and they can resume unabated. Riebensteiner leads Sakalas, leads Shilakis, leads Hensel. Gaps not required as they're all on the same screen. They come now back through the tail end of GT3 AM. That is Forrest Alico running in 8th place. The beautiful Lamborghini. Sakalas had a look there. timing the exit. There's Chris Thompson holding it out wide so the leaders can come through. Everybody through. Doesn't look like there was any loss of time for one or the other. They're all still nose to tail. A great battle. Watching the gaps. Raley and Alico still close, a couple of seconds. The front of the GT3 AM class, we should check in with that as it is tightened up between Flores and Wally. They come down the hill and will complete lap number 16. Seeley back on track. You can see him behind Alico, but that is not for position. He is one lap down from that pit stop. One lap down, but one stop ahead. So his virtual track time, it's probably about 40 seconds to come down pit road. We'll check when we get our first stops, but his actual position is probably halfway around the circuit, but still running in fifth as Flores continues to hound the 827. Jump back up. Rowan Kelly has dropped 3 seconds back in GT3 AM. Spammers 5 behind that. Marcel Strouf and Steve McLean still running very close together. There they are, the pair of M4s. Strouf coming off a spectacular race at Road America. He's having a good one here today, running top 5. There's Lincoln Russell, who was part of that equation at Road America. He is closing the gap up here. So we've got some good packs of cars. And coming through them right now is the GTE Pro battle. So we'll stick with this. The battle for 5th in GT3 AM. And just behind them is Riebensteiner. We saw a blip on the screen. Here is Sakalis on the outside. They come down the hill, trading positions. Riebensteiner with the inside. Off the curb, and it looks like he'll have the run. Fantastic stuff up front in GTE. We go on board with Kevin Hensel, and we see all of it in front of us. Now on to Sakalis' car. You can still see Hensel in the background. Riebensteiner now goes to the inside of the GT3 battle. McLean and Strouf stay out left. Sakalis is starting to look pretty racy. He's trying to box him in. Good stuff here. And through all of that, no change in order. Shilekas comes through. Strouf will keep it out left, and Hensel is by as well. So comes the LMP leader, as if we didn't have enough going on this part of the track. There is Clayton Barklow, now 18 seconds the gap to Dennis Rotter, who is, it must be said, starting to come under pressure a little bit from that third place battle. Rainey and Alico are now within 5 seconds. Traffic giveth and taketh away, but we're going to watch that gap closely, as it was 2.5 seconds gained by the 6 car last time around, and Alico right with them. Both cars in the 1:10 10s. Barklow goes for the inside down into the chicane. He should have that move done before they get there. On board with him. That swooping wide line. James Posland in the pits, the first of the GTE cars. And we'll see how much damage that car might have from that opening lap. I guess we can call it a shunt, can't we? Kevin Hensel still stuck behind that GT3 battle, and he has... Oh, no, sorry, that's Hayden Fowler. My bad. Getting the teammates mixed up. James Posland stopped for 18.1 seconds. So that is a short pit stop for the 91 car. There is James. And we're nowhere near halfway, so that's going to have to be a two-stopper now for him. So I wonder if that was for damage, if he was just not on pace. But we will find out. We'll see if we can get word from pit road. That drops him down to 10th place with the stop already done. Dennis Rotter now making his way through that midfield in GT3. Almost 20 seconds the gap. He has not led a lot of laps this season, but he has also not lost a race. So we will see how this plays out for the 011 today. The camera's fixated on this top four battle in GTE Pro. Max Riebensteiner has been leading from the start after a chaotic start in what is the most precise and cleanest class we have in this series. The GTEs are always exemplary and showing the other classes how to do it, but holy. The law of large numbers played out, and they evened up the stats with just a chaotic first corner. Two separate incidents involving 6 cars. Everybody's still running. Thankfully, nobody damaged bad enough that they even had to come to pit road. But it's certainly not something we're used to seeing in GTE Pro. They're on their 23rd lap now. Just trying to think back to the practice sessions, and I think we're probably a little longer than usual. You can usually count somewhere around 35 minutes for fuel stops, as Jan Spammers has a little bit of agricultural work going on. And that four-way battle comes by, and they're going to take him on the outside. Very, very well done by everybody there. And Rotter just having to look on. He just seems to be, there you can see in the background, just a little glimpse of Rainey and Alico. They are really starting to close that gap. 4.3 seconds now, the gap. So a 3-car battle for second place in LMP may not be out of the cards. Hensel having a little look on Sakalis there as we come up over the hill. They are still side by side. Sorry, on Shilakis, not Sakalis. And he's on the inside having a look. But he's not going to risk pushing out into the 546. He had the inside line, but that's very tight. And caution to the wind as we got a few cones going for a ride there. No harm, no foul. Our virtual marshals will have those replaced in a couple of seconds. And here comes Keith Rainey through this battle. And we'll watch and see how quickly he can do that. Riebensteiner, boy, a luxurious 1.3 second gap here he's pulled away. Marcel Struve is off the circuit. McLean and Russell are passed, and we do see damage there on the 78. Huge damage. The The boot lid is off that car. There's nothing on the back. Left side damage, very, very heavy. If you look back up front, these top three, I'm searching. I don't seem to have a replay to see what happened to the 78. We're sorry about that. But that was heavy, heavy damage. As Mark Sonnen and Ivan Zirno have hit pit road, that promotes Jaden Manthangaren up to 7th. So we're starting to see 32 minutes in the start of pit stops, and it's GTE Pro, the first class in. And these drivers will all have to do 2 stops. If you're going to try to do a 1-stopper, you're going to have to make it, obviously, to the halfway line. Ellico and Seeley still together. Remember the 72 car, 1 lap down. Sakalas having to time the exit here to get by Rowan Kelly. A good run for Rowan. He's made it past lap 2 without anybody trying to remove his rear license plate. And he sits 7 seconds off the lead. The GT3 class really... Oh, that's a 888. Going backwards. And what has happened to Jacques Botha? He's... Holy... Off, and he's collected spammers! Oh, what a collision! A huge accident! The 999 car off. And that's... that was Dean Ellico upside down. So multiple things going on here. The 429 is towed back to the pits. .56 minutes remaining. We have cars shiny side down. Ellico, he's all by himself, and he's looped it. Exactly what we saw Steve Groningen do right in front of him just a few minutes ago. And the 429 with massive damage going back to the pits. You have to be so careful getting... Oh, we've got Hensel and Shilakis now battling again. You have to be so careful getting the power down coming out of that final quarter. I wonder, it was the same sort of area on track. I wonder if that's what happened to the 78 car. Anybody, please update me. We always miss one replay when we're putting these together. We did not have cameras on the 78 to find out what happened. Hensel still behind, and that battle has now split the front of the GTE's traffic and side by side. So there you see Riebensteiner and Sakalas. They're now behind the GT3 AM leaders. There's Wally and Flores, who have really broken away now from Kelly. 8 seconds the gap there. And the gap in GTE Pro, a little under 5, back to the 546 of Amanda Shilakis. So they come through. We'll watch for more pit stops. None of the front runners have been in any of the classes. We'll see how many of these GTEs can get to the 45-minute mark and do this on 1 stop. Dean Ellico has made it to the pits, as has Jan Spammers. Word from pit road is a load cell failure, so a brake failure on the 888, and that certainly jives with what we saw in the replay. That car was flying down through the hill, the fastest portion of the track. And Jan Spammers, the unfortunate recipient of that car going where it was going to go. That means the 888 is going to be retiring, I think. We'll see if we can get that fixed, but a real shame. Just a hardware failure has taken out 2 cars here. Riebensteiner getting through a little quicker there. Sakalas now coming through the leaders. Jacob Wally will drop right straight in behind. pick a little bit of a toe and see if he can shake the 25 of Flores. Oh, that's a little bit of an early apex there for Chris Thompson. As he stalled it, he's got it running again, and he gets it out of harm's way as the leader comes through an LMP. You see Dean Alico dropping down through the field as his car, and that's going to be a long repair. In the pits, Clayton Barklow, LMP2 leader, makes his stop 37 minutes into the event. Oh, look at the damage on Spammer's car there. Groninga still getting repaired. There's Alico, the front clip not on that. So the first of the actual pit stops happening, though, in LMP, and let's see, that's 31 laps in. Well, he gets himself pulled back a little bit, but Cyclist, that looked pretty quick to get himself back in contact with Riebensteiner. So that really does tell me, although they've been having what looked like a little bit of a ding-dong through most of this race. Maybe he's just content to sit behind him, just trying to force a mistake, because that pace there, half a second quicker the last time around, was able to close that gap right back up. We've got a replay of Thompson here, and there is why the 66 was sideways, and Shilakis making contact with the back end of that car, and it has dropped him down to 5th place. Hayden Fowler is now up into 4th. There is Hayden right now. So Amantis, who's been running 3rd all day long, has dropped to 5th. And that's a sizable gap. Fowler has really pulled himself back up. Remember, we thought him and Posland were going to do that. Posland stopped early. But Fowler has closed that gap. The Petit Le Mans winner is now only 5.5 seconds behind Max Riebensteiner, who crosses the line to complete lap number 30. And there is the epitome of patience. When you're driving an LMP car and you catch a GT3 coming through the S's, there's nothing you can do but sit and wait. Barklow out of the pits. Rainey and, well, Seeley had already pitted. Keith Rainey has come down pit road. Dennis Rotter, the only LMP not to pit so far. And we will check the pit times. Clayton Barklow, 33.4 seconds. So that is full fuel for the 818. 27.9 for Keith Rainey. So maybe a little bit of evening out the final 2 stints. That gained Rainey 5 seconds on track. As we check back in with our GT3AM leaders. As Dennis Rotter makes his way down pit road. And that will cycle through the top end of the LMP field, and we'll see where we are. This will also bring Seeley, at least give us an accurate gap for him, having made that early stop for left front corner damage. Barklow has retaken the lead, and the gap, it was 33-1 stops, so identical stops for Rotter and Barklow. Full fuel for both. They're going to do a splash at the end. He rejoins in front of Hensel there. Who now runs in 3rd place with the gift from Shilakis having that contact with the back marker. The damage on that 111 as well. We missed that. Mark Sonnen has been in contact with something. That may have happened on the beginning of the race. Not sure. Jeff Jerome comes through. One of the best updates since I've been on iRacing in the last season, the damage repair for endurance cars. If you put the time in on pit road, it actually now fixes your car like in real life. You don't have to run around with bent wings and things. So Jeff Jerome out there able to run and finish the endurance race instead of having a car that's eternally damaged. And there he is, running 7 laps down, but he's going to complete the 90 minutes, and that is what endurance racing is all about. And it's now possible with that update, so a very, very great thing. Jose Flores has made it to pit road in GT3 AM, and this is the first one to blink in that class. From second place, Rowan Kelly follows him into pit road. There's Flores. Kelly will come right in behind. You see Forrest Alico making his way out. And less than 3 minutes until halfway. We will watch the front end of GTE Pro. It looks like they may all be trying to go on one stop. Steiner down the hill. It could be a little early for Zerano, Shilakis, Flores Kelly, Steve McLean, Lincoln Russell is in. Here comes Riebensteiner. 47 minutes remaining. Now you take close to a minute off with the pit stop, but it's going to be tight as Thompson is having more fun coming out of turn 1. The top 3 all in. Hayden Fowler has stayed out. So the 28 car involved in that early contact in the chicane, and he made it back within 5 seconds. He now leads the GTE class, the last car to come to pit road. You can see Amanda Shilakis just in front of him, almost a lap behind, but he has stopped already. Says he stopped twice. I wonder. Got a look here, see if we've got that same glitch. No, his last stop was a stop, 25.6. Did maybe that contact with the 66 cause a drive-through penalty, and got him a second run down pit road. Check in on that. As Fowler comes through, will he be coming in this time? The pole sitter is on pit road. No, the 28 is going around again. Rowan Kelly has overtaken Jose Flores on the pit cycle. 47.1 second stop for Flores, 33.5 for Kelly. 40.3, just comparing times. We have pit times all over the place in GTE. Russell was almost a minute. So a lot of different strategies going on there. I'm imagining it's... Oh, and Kelly's around. He's been hit. He's been hit by the GTE leader. From bad to worse for the 28. Back on his bike is Kelly, but right after a pit stop, that's not what you want to have happen. And the 28 will come down pit road. I think he was coming anyway, as this is 2 laps further than anyone else had gone. It's 44 minutes left. He should be able to make it. We'll see how much damage the 28 has. He had not come down pit road for any of the earlier stops. Check that back in with Keith Rainey in third. We were about to talk about our gaps in LMP when all that fun started to happen. Fowler has now relinquished the lead. You see Riebensteiner jumping him on the timing screens. Riebensteiner has really come out well here. Where is Sakalis? Oh, here we go. No, sorry. Posland in the lead. Sakalis, then Riebensteiner. The early stop for Posland. Let's check in with GTE here. There is the 91 car. He stopped early. He short-filled. We think that car will definitely have to stop again. But it has leapfrogged the field and put the 91 up front in GTE Pro. The 717, there is Sakalis there, 4 seconds back. He took 26.5 seconds of service compared to the 18.1 for Posland, so that explains the leapfrog there. Riebensteiner, an identical pit stop, and he is lost out on circuit. He is behind Andreas. And the difference was pit road time, so whether getting in or out of your box, maybe he missed his box and had to reverse. But Sakalis gained 2 seconds on pit road, and that has leapfrogged the 14, who we should see coming around the corner. No, he's back in the pits. So Riebensteiner, from leading the entire first stint, had a long pit road time. And this looks like a drive-through. It looks absolutely like a drive-through penalty. So the 14 is going to drop down the order. It puts Hensel in front. That puts Hensel in third, Riebensteiner, then Shilakis, and that 4-car battle, which was so close, now that the pit stops has really sorted itself out, and who looks to be in the pound seats is Andreas Sakalis. If he can go without another pit stop, we know Posland has to stop again, and it's only a 5-second gap, so we will watch that. We'll finally get a rundown in LMP. We've been trying to do it. There is Dennis Rotter right there. He's 29 seconds behind Clayton Barklow. He did stop early. However, they had identical pit stops and pit road times. So Barklow, with that incredible pace, is perhaps just burning a lot more fuel. We're watching the 6-car of Keith Rainey, who is in second, only 3 seconds now behind the 011. So that gap has been coming down all race long. We, of course, lost Dean Ellico off the back of that, and Seeley now, with his pit stop cycle through, he is 26 seconds behind the 6 car. Up front in GTE Pro, it is still Jacob Wally, and as we said from the pit stops, he gained a lot of time on Jose Flores. It was a 32-second stop for Wally, 47.1 for Flores. That's not enough for tires, at least not 4 of them. So I would love to know if anybody has any insight on that. The GT3 pit stops, that would be awesome to hear, but a lot of time gained for the already race winner in GT3, and it's a nice, comfortable 16-second gap for Wally right now in the 827. Time for a breath, I think. As everything has been happening, this has been an action-packed race. I mean, when you only have a 90 minutes, you got to cram it all in, don't you? James Posland up where he's comfortable in the 91 car in P1, but I think he's got to pull a little bit of a gap there. if he wants his strategy to work out against Sakalas and Hensel in behind. There is the gap for Rotter to Rainey. Rotter up the hill. And 32 seconds ahead is Clayton Barklow. Boy, it really does feel like we've got a little bit of a reprieve here. We're going to go on board with the 6 of Keith Rainey as he has clear track in front of him now to the 011 of Dennis Rotter. And just looking at the track map, they've got Jose Flores next. He's just now entering the chicane, so we'll probably catch him on the next lap, but hopefully we'll get some representative times of the two of them not having to pass traffic, as Rainey is looking super strong here today. A 111.1 for Rotter that time around, and a 111.3 for Rainey. So the Austrian just a little bit quicker, but not much in it, as Rainey would have caught those cars later in the lap. That could be the difference. Beautiful line to turn through there. We have lost Hayden Fowler, apparently. So we're going to watch this go through. That was the 222 going out. We saw this live, but apparently more damage to the 28 car, and he's not going to come back. I think that car is being retired. So after an incredible start to the week and the win in the Petit Le Mans, he's had a couple of incidents here, and there's damage on that car. The 28 is done. And what a huge points implication that will be, as we were talking about it earlier. He will receive no points. If you do not finish, if you disconnect from the lobby, you are not classified and receive no points, and that will have major points implications. The 72 of Seeley is back down, and that makes sense with 35 minutes to go. He will be taking his full fuel now. Basically flipped his pit stops, getting that damage fixed. Took his short fuel fill first, and back-timed the race, and now with 35 minutes to go, he'll have enough to make it to the end. So the Canadian now running fourth with Ellico out. Is Ellico back on track? He's in the pits, but he is just now returning to the circuit. So that car fixed, and there is the 429. Doesn't look like he took all of the optionals, but he's back out on circuit, and fifth place points on the line. Who's there now? Jeff Jerome, 8 laps back in 5th. Ellico is 17 laps back in 7th. McDonald 10 laps back in 6th. So it has been a rough day in LMP today. Thankfully, they've only been hurting themselves. I don't recall an LMP being involved with any of the GTE cars yet. There's been a lot going on. I could be wrong, but here is a lot going on, as Dennis Rotter now has the 6 car in his mirrors. So Keith Rainey is having a fantastic day through traffic. He's got the pace. We know there was only a second covered the entire field. Everybody was in the 109s at practices. We even saw 108.9 from Barklow in qualifying trim. But whether Rotter just a little off on setup today or just taking it extra careful with the points lead through traffic, he has got the 6 car on him who has had the pace all week. There are the only 2 remaining C8Rs from the Night Racing Esports team. They're running together on track. It is not for position, however, as Hensel running in 3rd. Manathan Guerin is, I'm going to say, almost 3 laps down. He's completed 40, Hensel 43, yeah, 3 laps down. This is the battle on circuit. As we await the splashing goes, it probably won't be for a while, maybe another 15 minutes. Again, catching the traffic at the wrong time, and that gives Rainey a little bit of a look. Rotter will stay inside. Here's the crossover. Oh, and you saw the brake lights. Rainey was not going to risk it there with 33 minutes to go. He seems to have the pace, especially through traffic, on Dennis, so he's going to wait for a better opportunity there. Steve Groninga is back on track. There's Marcel Struff again. The 78 car we saw the damage on that car. Unfortunately, didn't catch how it happened. But he went in. He's got that car fixed. He's got the damage fixed to get it on track, but there was 15 minutes of optionals that he did not take, which is why you can see the car looking a little rough for wear on the outside. And we hear the steering's not straight, so Marcel really just trying to gut it out and maximize the amount of points he has. He's running 6 laps down, having the mandatory damage fixed. But he does have a lap on Rowan Kelly, who is back in the pits for a 3rd time. So unfortunately, Rowan has been hit today, but that was because of his own spin. That's a racing incident. It did cause the 28 to retire, although I'm not sure the damage was that bad. But Rowan has got that car fixed now, 7 laps down. In GT3 AM, we're watching Kevin Hensel in 3rd place. There is our newcomer there. A shout out to Steve McLean. Welcome to the KRL, and he's having himself a good run. Has kept it clean. Had a good talk with Steve before the race today. He's looking forward to running in the series, and he's got himself a podium right here in his debut race at what is a very tough track for 3-class racing. He looked very good. Thursday was the first day he was in the league. He came to practice, did a full stint, very competitive, and you can see he's having himself a very good day as I commentator curse him right there. Are you kidding me? The 27 gets it back on track. He's got himself a comfortable gap, but there is damage on that right front corner. Way to go, Marcel. Way to go. Get the new guy upset with you. We'll see how that affects his run here. McLean ahead of Forrest Ellico in the Lamborghini. That is 15 seconds, the gap back to Forrest. As we had a brief look at the 2-class leaders there, but Seeley coming through an incredible gaggle of GT3s. Shilakis now will have to negotiate that. Seeley again is a lap down to the race, but has made his final stop. But that gap was about 25 seconds to Keith Rainey, who has dropped back a little bit now in traffic from Dennis Rotter. We're watching that gap closely, and we'll jump back to that if something happens. Shalaik is coming through. All 4 of these cars with their issues today. This is sort of the walking wounded coming up through the S's here. As Clayton Barklow heads out on his 52nd lap. We're into the final half hour. Quick race here today, the first of our 90-minuters. A good series though this season 3. Usually it was 4 and 4 in the first 2 seasons. But we do have 5 2-hour races in season 3. This is the first of the 3 90-minuters. Monza is a 90-minute race, and of course Interlagos will be a 90-minute race. As Barklow comes down the hill towards that group of cars. Just an outstanding pace, and we will see how that early stop affected him. It really won't change the fact that it's a 2-stop race, and with a 40-second gap now, I mean, it really has been an incredible day for the 818. The added time to his final pit stop is really not going to hurt him. He's got it in the bank in spades. I mean, there is nothing. He can have a nice, careful pit stop. Just keeping it clean in traffic. He's been doing amazingly well. When Clayton joined the league, he was a little sporadic and a little gung-ho, but he has settled down amazingly and has put on a master class here today, it must be said. He sniffed a win in the last race. It didn't happen. And today might be the day for Clayton to notch that first victory in the KRL. There is Jose Flores, still running in second place, but it's a 15-second gap thanks to a long first pit stop. That is really the only reason he's back 15 seconds. He spent 15 more seconds on pit road. Andreas Sakalas is 11 seconds back. This is the interesting one in GTE, because he stopped later. Is this a one-stop race for the 717? James Posland an early stop. James has been out there for 29 laps, and when Sakalas crosses the line, he will have been only out for 16 since their pit stops. So a very, very early stop, 13 laps early for Posland. We know he has to stop again. And how does that strategy going to play out in GTE Pro? Sakalas with a nice, healthy lead on Hensel, who's now 16 seconds back. Riebensteiner, who had a drive-through penalty, running in 4th now, 36 seconds off the lead. So it'll be very interesting to see how the two strategies at the front of GTE Pro play out. This week coming to you in pink for some reason. I'm not sure why the telemetry is different, or the timing screen is different colors every week, but they are. There is your race leader in GTE Pro as he comes by our GT3 AM leader. Jacob Wally really having it his own way now since coming out of the pits. The lap times absolutely identical. You can see both running 19.8 and 19.6 respectively. There's nothing in it, really just lifting and coasting where traffic is involved. Flores has not been able to make an indent on that lead. As Wally keeping it clean there. He's got McDonald in behind him. And here comes Roder as well, so a lot going on. And you can see Rainey has regained contact with the Austrian because of it. And just like that, the reprieve is over, and we are game on again. Look at this gaggle of cars. Oh! And I believe Rotter may have made a little contact with Jerome there as he was trying to negotiate a hole. Yes, the 011 and the 22 did make just slight contact. That'll be incidental. That side-to-side in traffic is never, well, it's never. Depends how it happens, of course, but that's very rarely called to the attention of the stewards. Jerome, a little bit of scratching on the left side of that car, but that contact was on the right side of his car. Rainey unable to get through, so that's going to reopen the gap. Jerome takes his first opportunity to get the heck out of the way. And these two are allowed to get back at it. They have the GTE leader next, James Posland, on track. Forrest Ellico is getting out of the way of him. They will tighten back up through the S's. And here we go again. There is Posland going into turn 6. Everybody through safe. Posland will get back into the tow. That gap is 11 seconds. If Sakalis doesn't have to pit, that's not big enough. But we will see what happens. If Sakalis does have to pit, and it will be a shorter one, we know that. That will be interesting. 22 minutes remain as Rotter gets through. Keith looked a little indecisive there. Groninga and Sonnen staying well out to the left to let them go, very aware of what was coming up behind them. I wasn't sure Keith fully trusted that and was super careful. It opens the gap back up. But through the S's, Rotter has to wait, and it closes again. Great stuff here. And by far the closest battle on circuit. We have some strategy battles going on in the background at GTE, but this is the closest proximity battle going on. Second place in LMP. There is Sakalis in second place in GTE, and Sealy, the fourth place car, still chasing these guys. He does not have to pit, but he is about a lap and a third behind. As Rotter and Rainey make their way back, completing lap 57. Right on the tail. That is Steve McLean. He has not come down pit road. That car seems to be fine. Still running a solid third place in GT3 AM. And we're on board. We're going to take a couple of laps here with Rainey as he dogs the 011 of Dennis Rotter. And we'll get them coming through traffic as well. Next up on circuit is Unitas Shilakis, just now entering the chicane at the bottom of the hill. But some empty track, and we'll be able to see some very good lap times. We'll see if Dennis can stretch his legs and pull out a gap, or if Keith can get an opportunity to get by. Absolutely beautiful, precise lines there by the American. Posland is in the pits. So it's all happening now in GT3 or GTE Pro. He's up for tires? I did not expect that. Everyone I thought was going to be able to make it on tires. But we'll see what happens here. Andreas Sakalas in the lead now. Kevin Hansel second. Riebensteiner is actually passed for third. And James Posland back out on track. 29.8 second stop. Did he maybe just take a left front and some fuel? But it's dropped down to fourth place, and we'll see how that strategy plays itself out. As Keith Rainey stops. This is a scheduled stop. A splash and go for the LMPs. He's been in his pit box for 17 seconds, 18, 19.2 seconds stopped. So that will momentarily release the 0-11 of Dennis Rotter. But he and Barklow are going to have to come down pit road once again. I am surprised that Barklow has not stopped before Rainey. Maybe this was a little bit early, trying to get himself back out into a clean space on the track. There was that big gap there. Alico, well, that has not worked. If that's what the plan was, Rainey is in a group of cars. He's got 4 GT3s in front of him. There is the race leader, Jacob Wally. So he's hoping to get some clean track and maybe leapfrog the 011. I'm not sure that's going to work. Rotter is on empty track. We'll watch those lap times. He just put in a 110.6. So that is pace. And just looking, he's got a group of 2 GTs in front. Jennifer McDonald is there too, but she's going to, of course, be running similar speeds. He won't catch her for a while. But Dennis able to put in basically an uninterrupted lap here. So it could be advantage Rotter in this pit sequence. We will see what happens. He just now is coming up into turn 1 and try and dispatch the 66 up to turn 3. He does that. The 2 KRE cars still running together. The auto camera looking for action. Showing them they are not running together on track. Barklow is in the pits, so we'll get his splash and go. He may even be able to come out before Rotter gets around. You can see that gap, 45 seconds. It stabilizes while the car's in the pits because he's entering representative times. Rotter coming down the hill now. 19.4 seconds of fuel for Rainey. It is 16.4 seconds of fuel for Barklow, who is now exiting the pits. He will maintain the lead with Rotter still yet to come down pit road. He goes around again, 111.7 to a 112.4 for Keith Rainey. So the gap is increasing, and he'll be taking less fuel on the pit stop. So that battle that was getting closer and closer, maybe the strategy is going to win out for Dennis Rotter. Caught in a bit of a gaggle here. That the KRE sandwich. There is Jose Flores again. He's got a huge gap now on Steve McLean, who had that small issue. Did not have to pit, and is still looking good for that podium position. I'll stop giving him compliments for the rest of the race because we don't want anything bad to happen. Anything else bad to happen to the newcomer here in his first race in the KRL. Again, going around is Dennis Rotter. We know he can save fuel, but there is no way he is not going to be pitting again. As he comes down the hill. Boy, we're so used to seeing the classes all together on the timing screens. There's a whole mishmash of classes together. Jaden Mankin-Guerin is now running for position on overall race, which we never do. You see Jerome passing him there on the timing screen. We had another battle there. Mark Sonnen and Steve McLean, the GTE going by the GT3 AM. Battles for position in overall running, but not in class. Rotter goes around again. He will complete lap 64. The gap to Rainey is 55 seconds, but he's got to come down pit road. It's going to be for a very short splash of fuel. But I have to say, it does not look to me that the magic will continue. It's only a 10-second gap, but Barklow, with his splash and go done, has absolutely owned the field here today. Only two of who we would call the top runners in the class. I mean, we have that sort of, you have the Class 1 LMPs, and then we've really had a Class 1A with Keith Rainey's pace. Dean Ellico was fast, Jennifer McDonald was fast, as was Lucas Wallace, but for various reasons things have happened. Keith Rainey held up the side, but we'll see where his pit stop runs through. He did a 1:10.6 the last time around to Rotter's 1:12.7. Rotter back on the pace here with no traffic this time by a 1:10.7. But it has been Clayton Barklow's day in LMP2. He's got 11 more minutes to keep it on the island and claim his first victory in the KRL. And, well, it won't tighten the points up by a ton. 8 points difference from first to second. But it will start to chew into that 40-point advantage that Rotter had. No Eric Fox here this weekend. So he will easily leapfrog his fellow American in the points championship. Eric will be back in a fortnight in Sebring, and the much anticipated arrival of Thomas Brommel as well. So it should be a stacked and packed LMP2 class when we do 2 hours in Sebring 2 weeks from today. Andreas Sakalas looks like it's going to cycle through very nicely for him, and back-to-back wins if he could pull this together. After debuting at Daytona with a 4th place finish, he came back and won the 2nd race at Road America and is looking very good to repeat here at Road Atlanta. And with Poseland running behind in 4th at the moment, that could leapfrog him into a points lead. It is Jacob Wally, now with a 12-second lead over Jose Flores. Flores able to bring that down a little bit. Rotter in the pits. We'll see if they tighten up, but here it is. With just under 9 minutes left on the clock, Dennis Rotter comes in for his splash and go. It's going to be a short one. Keith Rainey is on the back straightaway. We'll see how close he can get. Rotter already out of his pit box. And he will come up the hill. He drops in behind that gaggle, but you can see he's got a nice lead. Looks to be about 9 seconds. We'll wait for the clocks just to sort of catch up. Makes his way through both of the KRE GTE cars remaining. Shulakis making his final stop in GTE Pro from the place. That may have been a drive-through. 6.6 second stop. Looks like just a really quick splash and go there for the 546. He's holding on to a top 5 ahead of Ivan Zirano in the 77. That's Clayton Barklow. 43 seconds, and that gap has as Posland. We have a change in position in GTE Pro. James Posland has put himself on the podium ahead of Max Riebensteiner. So good stuff there. Kevin Hensel a little ways up the road. And we are hearing from pit road that the 94 is very close on fuel. So we'll see what that does. What is the gap right now in GTE Pro? It is 6 seconds. 117.8 for Hensel, 117.2 for Posland, and that was while making a position on Riebensteiner. So Zirano is coming in for a splash and go. We already saw Shulakis come down. It is very, very close for one stops here, and we'll see how these guys do. We know Zirano with his 2 stops, he's good to go. He's not in fuel save mode at all. Rainey comes through. We have got all the KRE cars together. Where's Paul Seeley? Why is he missing out on the photo op? But there is the 94 leading this group, and very tight on fuel. A 19.1 the last time around. So yes, major fuel saving mode for the 94. And James Posland is coming, a 17.5 last time around. There he is in the background as he's starting to gap Riebensteiner a little bit. Sakalas in the pits. So he is not going to be able to make it. Is James Posland going to out-strategize this field? Sakalas in, how long? 5.1 seconds, 5.2 seconds stopped. He's back out. He clears the cone. Hensel, we know, is saving fuel as well. There he is. The gap is under 5 seconds. The GTE gaps continue to stabilize. Riebensteiner looking like he doesn't quite have the grip or the pace to hold on to Posland, who we saw go on the jacks as well. He's got a little extra grip. Maybe he took the left side tires on that car. Barklow comes through, but it has really gotten interesting in GTE Pro here for the end of the race. Rainey is 4 seconds behind Rotter. That the difference in when they came in. There goes Steve McLean into the pits from 3rd place. And Rotter's in the pits. And he's missing a front. What has happened to Dennis Rotter? We do have a replay. Keith Rainey now in 2nd place. We're watching the Lamborghini of Forrest Alico, who spun, and Rotter collects him hard coming out of the S's. Disaster for the Austrian. Here it is from on board. Oh no! A huge, huge hit. And after dogging the Austrian all race long, Keith Rainey has been gifted 2nd place. There's the American in P2 with 2.5 minutes remaining here at Road Atlanta, and that's going to promote Paul Seeley to a podium position in 3rd place after running around by himself all day, pushing off on lap 2. The Canadian has recovered to a 3rd place here with Rotter in the pits. Meanwhile, Poseland has overtaken the 94 of Kevin Hensel. Hensel just trying to limp this car to the finish. But it's still 7 seconds up to Sakalas, who may have the, well, looks like he's got it covered. Less than 2 minutes to go now. What a dramatic finish. We thought it was happening in GTE, but LMP, unfortunately, a backmarker spins and it collects Dennis Rotter, whose win streak is going to come to an end here. Luckily for him, he's got 8 laps on Jeff Jerome, who also had earlier issues, so it's going to be a 4th place. The hit in the points won't be as bad as it might be on a usual race. There is Sakalas looking for back-to-backs himself. As into his final lap comes the 818 of Clayton Barklow. And the classes are going to finish in order here, it looks like, by the way they're positioned on track. The GTE Pro leader is circulating ahead of the GT3 AM leader. So everybody will be getting their one to go here. And although we may not have seen a lot of him today, it has been an absolute clinic put on by Clayton Barklow in the 818. His pace was unmatched. He has never been under pressure. In fact, for the first 20 minutes as he la-di-das down the back straightaway here. What an incredible race for the American in the LMP2 Dallara P217 and collecting his first win in the KRL. Clayton Barklow wins at Road Atlanta. And coming down the hill to win back-to-backs, Andreas Sakalas, your winner in GTE Pro. And a fantastic run, again, it must be said, for the 827. And this will be his 2nd win. Congratulations to Jacob Wally, winner in GT3 AM. And here is Keith Rainey, your 2nd place car in LMP, a fantastic run on the tail of Dennis Rodder most of the day on merit. And a P2 for the American. That'll get the wife back on the fan wagon there, Keith. Great job today. Paul Seeley collects the final podium position. Sakalis wins in GTE Pro. Posland, and there is Hensel, who had to limp to the finish. And he will finish in third. Here are your official race results. Clayton Barklow wins with Keith Rainey and Paul Seeley on the podium. Dennis Rodder, Jeff Jerome, and Jennifer McDonald in 6th. Dean Ellico 7th. Lucas Wallace, unfortunately, DNF because of that accident at the start with Jennifer McDonald. GTE Pro, it's Andreas Sakalis, James Posland, and Kevin Hensel, your podium. Max Riebensteiner, after a very eventful day, comes home in 4th. Imantas Shilakis is 5th, ahead of Ivan Zirano. Jaden Manathan Guerin, the pole sitter, comes back to 7th. Mark Sonnen 8th, and Hayden Fowler and Jacques Botha, both unclassified. Fowler with a couple of incidents, and Botha, of course, the brake failure. In GT3 AM, it is Jacob Wally, your winner, with Jose Flores and Steve McLean rounding out the podium in his debut race in the KRL. Lincoln Russell 4th, another strong race for him. Forrest Ellico rounds out the top 5. Chris Thompson 6th. Marcel Struff, Rowan Kelly, Steve Groniga, all with issues, dropping them down the order. Jan Spammers, the unfortunate victim of that collision when the brakes failed on the 888 car. So what that means in the point standings, let's have a look. As we get a great shot there of Wally doing some burnouts. So in LMP, Dennis Rodder still leads, but it's only 26 points now ahead of Eric Fox. That looks like the old points, so I'm not going to show you that. And I do have the points here. Dennis Rodder does lead the points ahead of Clayton Barklow, 20 points back, 94 to 74. Paul Seeley moves up to 3rd place, 41 back with 53. Eric Fox now 4th with 50 points. Keith Rainey 42 and Jennifer McDonald 30. So very close there in the middle. Everything tightens up in LMP. Andreas Sakalis leads the GTE Pros ahead of James Posland and Kevin Hensel. Only a 2-point lead, 94 to 92, as these two have really pulled away in GTE Pro. And in GT3 AM, Jacob Wally has a 17-point lead over Enos Bothma. Marcel Struff, 32 back at 50. Lincoln Russell, 45. Jose Flores, 45. Jan Spammers, 34. Steve Groniga and Forrest Ellico tied at 30 points. We are off to Sebring for 2 hours to complete the American section of the schedule. That race will be on the 23rd of October, and you'll see it right here on YouTube on the 24th at 1700. Hope you enjoyed today's race here from Road Atlanta, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.